Fears of an underwhelming NBA trade deadline were washed away on Thursday when 11 separate deals came to fruition before the league's 3 p.m. Eastern Time buzzer. Further fears that the most significant action of the week would belong to Major League Baseball after the Los Angeles Dodgers deal with the Boston Red Sox to acquire Mookie Betts and David Price were at last somewhat alleviated by the Golden State Warriors' willingness to trade away D'Angelo Russell on such a frenzied day. In all, there were 12 NBA trades this week involving more than 40 current players and numerous future draft picks. Here are 5 major takeaways from the league's latest transactional storm. In strict numerical terms, it doesn't get much bigger than the 4-team, 12-player blockbuster on Wednesday that landed Clint Capella with the Atlanta Hawks and Robert Covington with the Houston Rockets. On deadline day, however, Minnesota managed to pull off something even bigger. The Timberwolves persuaded the Warriors to part with Russell. The Warriors, truth be told, had always intended to trade Russell for a better-fitting player after acquiring the point guard in a sign-and-trade deal last summer, with the Nets as part of Kevin Durant's free agent move from the Bay Area. But it happened even faster than the Warriors planned. Many league observers figured Russell would spend one full season as a Warrior, while Klay Thompson with a knee injury, and eventually Stephen Curry with a hand injury, recovered from those injuries. The biggest flex. Less than a year ago, amid much eye-rolling, Miami's Pat Riley proclaimed that the Heat, after missing the playoffs, were on the verge of a return to prominence, even with no salary cap space. Riley then went out and lured the marquee free agent Jimmy Butler to South Beach in July via sign-and-trade. Followed this week by a significant trade to bolster the Heat as they unexpectedly reside in the East's top 4. A swap with Memphis to acquire Andre Iguodala, the most valuable player of the 2015 NBA Finals, along with a quality perimeter defender in Jay Crowder, should make the Heat even more of a concern for the East leading Milwaukee's Bucks. The biggest surprise. Just when it seemed that the trade market had dried up completely for Andre Drummond, Detroit struck a deal to send him to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the final hour before the deadline. The Pistons, though, netted a remarkably small return for a player averaging 17.8 points and 15.8 rebounds. Cleveland got Drummond for 2 out-of-favor veterans, John Henson and Brandon Knight, and a 2023 second-round pick. In other words, the league's diminishing appreciation for big men who aren't adept perimeter shooters continues, even for big men as productive as Drummond. Of course, Cleveland's thinking here is fuzzy in its own right, so no matter the discount price, the Cavaliers already have Tristan Thompson, whom they did not trade, and still have to find a trade destination for the disgruntled Kevin Love, who has 3 seasons and $91.5 million left on his contract after this season. Now Drummond joins them to form a trio of established front-court players marooned far away from playoff contention. The biggest question mark. Philadelphia was a contender for this dishonor after the recent admission from Al Horford that the underachieving 76ers mired in a tie for 5th in the East entering Thursday's play. Have some stuff going on in our locker room. Those issues persist for the Sixers, who appear to badly miss Butler. But they did manage to make 2 minor upgrades for their bench, acquiring Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III from Golden State despite their limited trade assets. Less clear is how the Rockets fared at the deadline after they were forced to surrender Capella and his team-friendly contract to reacquire the much-coveted Covington. The Rockets will be hard for some teams to guard, but Houston will also be relying on the 6'5" PJ Tucker as its primary center for the rest of the season. Even if Covington flourishes next to James Harden and Russell Westbrook, it's hard to make a team that small too seriously, even in the small ball era. The biggest markets. The Los Angeles Lakers decided on Thursday afternoon to pull Kyle Kuzma off the trade market. That cleared a path for the Los Angeles Clippers to acquire Knicks' Marcus Morris and keep him away from their Staples Center co-tenants. It will be easier to assess the two teams, as well as the East's top title contenders, after the buyout market shakes out. A handful of veterans in the final year of their contracts will secure buyouts from their current teams before March 1st in time to preserve their playoff eligibility to join title-chasing teams such as the Lakers and Clippers. The Lakers will also soon audition the free agent guard J.R. Smith, who won a title alongside LeBron James in Cleveland, and are considered the favorites to sign the point guard Darren Collision, should Collision decide to make his much-anticipated NBA comeback after the All-Star break. The reality, though, is that perhaps nothing we just saw was as league-shaking as the Knicks' decision to hire the longtime player agent Leon Rose as their next team president, according to a person with knowledge of the plans who was not authorized to discuss them publicly. That's all the time we have for today's video. Did your favorite player get a lot of votes? Let us know in the comment section below. And don't forget to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos in the future.